From our studio located in Madison, New Jersey, this is Real Good News. Welcome to our Independence Day weekend edition of Real Good News. Today, we honor the spirit of independence with stories that look ahead and reflect on our past. Steve Lubetkin speaks with the founder and CEO of waterlily.com, a company using artificial intelligence to help Americans plan for the future healthcare needs. And our segment producer, Andrew Dutton, brings us to a stirring reading of the Declaration of Independence, held on the historic grounds of the Ford Mansion in Morristown. And Alan Swanson explores the sights and sounds of fireworks, a beloved 4th of July tradition. But first, here are some of the stories we are covering. Union County has announced its 2025 Open Space Grant Program, offering funding to municipalities and nonprofit organizations to support park improvements, land preservation, and environmental education. The program is funded through the Union County Open Space Recreation and Historic Preservation Trust Fund. Eligible projects include restoring natural areas, expanding recreational facilities, and supporting school gardens through the Kids Dig In initiative. While the deadline for school garden applications has passed, most other grant applications are due by October 1st, 2025, and all approved projects must be completed by the end of the year. More information and application forms are available on the Union County website. We have covered the Arrive Together program on a previous episode, and now we are happy to announce that Morris County has expanded its Arrive Together program to include 25 more municipalities, now covering nearly the entire county. The program, which began in November 2023, pairs police officers with mental health professionals to respond together to crisis calls. The goal is to reduce violence and escalation during behavioral health emergencies. Towns like Boonton, Chatham, Dover, Jefferson, Rockaway, and Wharton are among those now participating. Mount Olive Township continues a similar program under a federal grant. The initiative also includes a 24/7 response model for serious incidents. Since launching in Morris County, the program has responded to over 1,200 crisis situations. Officials say it has helped reduce the need for force and arrests and plan to continue expanding outreach through schools and community events. Union County is bringing back two popular summer programs, Family Fun and Flicks and the Summer Arts Festival. Starting July 15th, Family Fun and Flicks will feature family-friendly movies like Moana 2, Inside Out 2, Despicable Me 4, Kung Fu Panda 4, and Mufasa the Lion King. Screenings will take place in local parks and begin at dusk with free activities and ice cream trucks starting at 7:30 p.m. The Summer Arts Festival begins July 9th and includes live concerts in Echo Lake, Waranenko, and Oak Ridge Parks. Performers include a Bon Jovi tribute band, TKA and Judy Torres, and a Beatles experience. There will also be a special family day with the Zabo Circus and family yoga classes before select concerts. Both programs are free and open to the public, supported by the Union County Educational Association. Morris County is continuing to celebrate America's 249th anniversary with community events taking place through mid-July. The county is highlighting its deep Revolutionary War roots through parades, historic reenactments, and live performances. Residents have gathered in town centers and parks for family-friendly events that emphasize local history and patriotism. County officials say these celebrations are a way to bring back the community together and honor the area's role in America's founding. More events are planned in the coming days across several Morris County towns. And that brings us to the historic lawn of the Ford Mansion in Morristown, once General George Washington's Continental Army headquarters. Each year for decades, Tom Winslow stood before a gathered crowd to perform a spirited reading of the Declaration of Independence, complete with cheers for America and playful boos for the British. This year marks Tom's final performance as he recently retired from the National Park Service. Let's take a moment to relive his powerful, patriotic delivery.
Please welcome Tom Winslow.
A declaration by the representatives of the United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
As we reflect on the spirit of independence, it's fitting to explore how technology is empowering people to take control of their future. Just as our founders planned for a new nation, today we're planning for healthier, more secure lives with help from artificial intelligence. With more on this story, here is Steve Lubetkin from State Broadcast News.
Few people realize that health insurance and Medicare do not fully pay for long-term care. As a result, millions of Americans remain unprotected against the financial impact of long-term care. Now, a new startup company is leveraging artificial intelligence technology to help individuals work with their financial advisors to plan ahead for their long-term care needs long before those needs become critical. The company is waterlily.com, and it's using an AI model based on a series of assumptions regarding specific healthcare costs, personal health history, and caregiving trends. Joining us to talk about Waterlily is its co-founder and CEO, Lily Vita Yaruk. Lily was on the path to become an aerospace engineer at an exceptionally young age. She's a patented inventor. She started college at age 14 and interned at NASA by age 16. But her life took an unexpected turn when her aunt, a cornerstone of her first-generation immigrant family, was diagnosed with terminal-stage colon cancer. Her family was shocked to learn that health insurance doesn't cover long-term care costs, and that drove their family to provide care from the home, stepping away from work and school to take on the physically demanding tasks of daily caregiving. Determined to ensure a future where no one else would have to face the same hardships, Lily shifted her focus from aerospace engineering to healthcare innovation. But tell us a little bit about Waterlily. What was it that made you decide you could apply artificial intelligence technologies to predictions about people's need for long-term care?
So, to be frank, it took me 2.5 years to even make it possible to use AI to be able to make that prediction on any individual's future long-term care trajectory and the associated cost, which is what Waterlily does. I took the painstaking effort of doing that because we navigated a personal long-term care event when I was a lot younger. From 12 to 16, I actually was on a fast-track trajectory in aerospace, was doing some work with NASA, went to college early for it. But when I was 16, my aunt was diagnosed with terminal stage colon cancer. And post-chemotherapy, we navigated 2.5 years of her daily long-term care needs. It was not only incredibly financially devastating for us to pay for that out of pocket because traditional healthcare does not cover this, but secondly, without that plan in place, we really had our familial relationships torn apart because of all the high stakes decisions we had to make in a short amount of time.
So walk us through the process of someone using Water Lily for their long-term care planning. How does it work? What kinds of information do you need them to put together, and how does it get used?
It's incredibly simple for the families today. Usually those families are working with a financial professional that already uses Water Lily in our software. But it starts with a 3-minute simple intake form for that family where they already know all this information about where they live, what is their sex, what is their household size, questions around their health structure, which is do you have diabetes? What's your BMI? Have you had any recent hospitalizations? And then finally, some basic financial questions around what are your total amounts of assets, income, etc. Because all those variables have predictive factors behind it about what your trajectory is going to look like, how much your family members are going to step in. So instantaneously, after you fill out that 3 to 4 minute intake form, online, you get immediate access to your results, where we first start off with your likelihood of needing long-term care, what age it'll begin at, a snapshot of that duration of how long that long-term care event would be for, and how that'll progress. The initial amounts of hours that you'll need help with to the tail end or the nursing home level care amounts of hours that you'll need help with, and map that to care resources that have associated costs. So you get a snapshot of what that cost looks like, and you also get a chance to say, well, in the earlier care phase, I want to stay at the home. Great, if you're going to stay at the home, that has a dollar amount associated with getting professionals to come to the home or family members to come to the home. So we just make that all linear, and we associate all your preferences with a cost.
So how much information about someone's medical conditions does the system require? Is it just a simple form, or are you taking in large medical history data?
So we ask about 15 or so questions around their medical or health history. And if they want 15% higher accuracy, we also ask a bit about their family history as well. So we ask about mom or dad, did they have any health issues? Did they have dementia? Things like that.
One of the things that you mentioned that the system will do is to predict a user's likelihood of needing long-term care. How does that work, and how good are the predictions?
The way that this works is we do what's called cross-flow validation. So on the many tens of thousands of families that we have, we essentially blind ourselves to about 10% of that population when we build out our algorithm. And then we make a prediction on that 10%. We say, okay, based on Sally, who's 55 years old, is she going to have a long-term care event? Yes or no? And so we go ahead and make a prediction on the part of the data set that we're blind to, and we see how well did we perform at getting our answer right. That yes, they went through a long-term care event. Yes, it happened at this certain age. And so right now our algorithm is at nearly 80% accuracy when it comes to the likelihood of needing long-term care.
What's the best way for individual consumers to take advantage of the Water Lily system?
Right now, if you are thinking about taking on a wealth advisor, a financial advisor, or an insurance agent trying to talk to you about long-term care, or you're thinking about long-term care, first thing is tell that professional, hey, have you heard of Water Lily? So that way that professional could adopt our system as an unbiased way to help the client best create a plan that makes the most sense for them. So we see we see various types of financial professionals as well as estate planning professionals or CPAs use our system. If you're actively trying to look at care facilities right now or continuous care retirement communities, you could also ask them, do you use Water Lily? Because some of them actually use us. And so that way it pressures them to actually use our system as an unbiased way to educate that family on what the trajectory is going to look like, and if that financial resource or that care resource even makes the most sense for this client. We also do take some consumers who go onto our website, join our waitlist, off the waitlist, and I personally actually go and have that conversation with them as well and guide them through on how to build out the best plan, since I am actually licensed in nearly all 50 states to be able to have that conversation so that we could eat our own cooking, in other words.
Lily, thanks very much for taking the time to talk about it, and we wish you well with the product, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you so much, Steve.
If you want more information about Water Lily, visit waterlily.com, where you can join a waiting list for individuals who want to use the platform, or learn about how you can get your financial advisor connected with Water Lily to help plan long-term care for you and their other clients. That's it from State Broadcast News. Back to you, Diane.
And now, Alan Swanson blows up on fireworks.
Yesterday was the 4th of July, the 249th celebration of our Declaration of Independence being signed from the King of England. Towns and cities across the nation celebrated with parades and other events and the traditional fireworks displays. Did you ever wonder, while watching, who and when were these displays invented? The Smithsonian Institution has provided us with a pretty good explanation. It turns out the earliest use of firecrackers seems to have started with the Chinese throwing bamboo into fires and listening to the crackling of air pockets bursting from the heat. From there, we jump hundreds of years until around the year 800. An alchemist discovered that combining a few materials in a package and throwing it into a fire created a bang. That explosion represented the invention of gunpowder. Of course, military types recognized that these explosions could cause serious injuries and very quickly refined the use to bring harm to enemies, including from the skies. It took until the 1830s for Italian researchers to discover that putting certain chemicals and other materials into the gunpowder produced colors. The rest of the experience with fireworks is, shall we say, history. So, having described for you how we got to where we are in the evolution of fireworks, I have an admission to make. I hate fireworks. There are many reasons, but the most important for me personally is I have a significant hearing loss, and I simply cannot afford to risk more damage to my hearing. There are many other health and environmental hazards and damage being done by fireworks. The obvious danger from fireworks is that they simply are bombs and fire we are attempting to control. Unfortunately, precautions are not always adequate, and humans make mistakes. In 2024, it was reported that 14,700 visits to emergency rooms took place on July 4th as a result of fireworks. And unfortunately, 11 people died. As you would expect, hands and fingers and eyes are the most frequent areas damaged or destroyed by fireworks. There are also the negative effects on our air quality. For example, today is July 5th. Year after year, this is the day when across the United States, the air quality measures are the worst. The reason? We are throwing into our atmosphere nearly 500 million pounds of explosives in a single day. Those explosions and the resulting displays are impressive, but remember, They are created by a mixture of potassium nitrate, charcoal, and sulfur, gunpowder. That smoke and ash alone from just the explosions is not good, but it gets worse. Those patterns and colors we see every year in our skies are produced by chemicals, metals, and other element combinations. The materials used include strontium, sodium, barium, copper, aluminum, manganese, chlorine, and many more. What we are watching when we attend the local fireworks displays is a very short-lived bit of entertainment and some long-term toxic atmospheric pollution. Without going further into the morbid details, know that the toxins travel in our atmosphere and are deposited on our land and in our waterways. I don't blame those who will dismiss the information I am providing, and I'm not going to dwell any longer on the dangers of fireworks. What I encourage is do your own research and arrive at your own conclusions. I can report that across the earth, there are cities and countries reducing their use of explosive fireworks with less damaging alternatives. These include low-level pyrotechnics, laser displays, silent displays, and perhaps the most spectacular are the drone displays we are seeing with greater frequency every year. I know I am, so to speak, throwing a bucket of water on the enjoyment brought by the large pyrotechnic displays. All I am saying is what I always say. Know the facts. Look at all the sides of any issue and make your own decisions. And one last thing. This year represents the 248th year that we are celebrating the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The first celebration was on July 4th, 1777. I'm Alan Swanson. Thank you for watching.
As we close out this Independence Day episode, we leave you with a peaceful view of fields of waving grass on Chappaquiddick Island, a quiet reminder of the natural beauty of America. We will see you on our next episode on July 19th. Until then, for Real Good News, I'm Diane Smith-Kirsch with a reminder that real good news is worth sharing. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the presenters and contributors. While we support a diversity of perspectives, they may not reflect the views of the entire team. We encourage open dialogue and welcome differing viewpoints. Real Good News is produced by Morton Belt Productions. For Real Good News, I'm Diane Kirsch.